The International Criminal Court denies the request of former President Rodrigo Duterte's lawyers for the prosecution to disclose certain information about witnesses, including their willingness to testify should a case proceed to trial. According to the Pretrial Chamber 1, while the publicity of the pretrial proceedings is a well-established principle, as shown in previous rulings by the ICC, it is not absolute. It says that it should also be weighed against the need to protect the safety, well-being, and privacy of victims and witnesses as guaranteed in the Rome Statute. The defense requested on February 16 to disclose more information on the prosecution's witnesses in the spirit of transparency and publicity of the proceedings. This came ahead of the much-anticipated confirmation of charges hearing starting February 23. The hearings will continue on February 24, 26, and 27. Led by lawyer Nicholas Kaufman, the defense argued that they would be limited to challenging the prosecution's evidence included in the redacted version of the document containing charges only in closed or private sessions. They added that the information sought to be disclosed was known information in the Philippines. However, the chamber agrees with the prosecution's argument that lifting the redactions in the ICC and pre-confirmation brief would jeopardize the security of the victims and witnesses. According to the chamber, the right to a public trial and the principle of publicity of the proceedings do not equate to an absolute right for the public to know all the details of the case to the detriment of the safety of those involved. The chamber says that whether the information is already allegedly public in the Philippines does not negate the risks posed to the relevant individuals and their families. The court says the redacted information does not prevent the defense from challenging the reliability and admissibility of the other party's evidence during the hearing. Invoking the ICC's Code of Professional Conduct, the chamber reminds Kaufman and the rest of the defense lawyers to respect professional secrecy and confidential information at all times, including during the confirmation of charges hearing. Duterte is charged with crimes against humanity in connection with the murder and attempted murder of 78 individuals in the context of his so-called war on drugs. Motorists will pay more for petroleum products this week as local oil firms are imposing another round of hikes of as much as 1 peso and 20 centavos per liter. In an advisory on Monday, February 23, Sea Oil says the per liter price of diesel and kerosene will jump by 1 peso and 20 centavos per liter. This marks their 9th straight week of increases. Gasoline will likewise be costlier by 60 centavos per liter, its 7th week in a row of rising prices. Fuel price adjustments are effective Tuesday, February 24. Industry sources said late last week that the upward price movements were caused by persistent geopolitical tensions, including those in the Middle East and the Ukraine-Russia war. Yet the Petroleum President Leo Bellas said concerns over military activities in the region increased the likelihood of U.S. strikes on Iran. It also decreased the prospect that the conflict will be resolved through diplomatic means. Senator Aquino firmly shuts down speculations of the 2028 vice presidential run alongside embattled Vice President Sara Duterte. Rumors of a potential tandem between Duterte and Aquino began circulating after she announced her 2028 presidential bid. The speculation intensified after Aquino stated in a recent television interview that any trial concerning former President Rodrigo Duterte's alleged crimes against humanity should ideally take place on Philippine soil. However, in an emailed press advisory on Sunday, February 22, the senator categorically denies that any tandem is in the works. He adds that he fully respects the ongoing International Criminal Court proceedings against the former president. The senator says it was shameful to engage in politics when Filipinos are facing so many challenges. He says the country is already facing many problems in education, the economy, prices of goods, and the fight against corruption. He states that the government must prioritize these issues over premature politicking. Aquino says there was a right time to talk about the 2028 national elections. But now, he says the right thing to talk about is what's important for the people. As chairperson of the Senate Committee on Basic Education, Aquino is directing his legislative focus toward the country's massive 166,000 classroom backlog. To address the infrastructure bottleneck, the Senate recently approved Aquino's Classroom Building Acceleration Program Act with a unanimous 22-0 vote. Alongside the Citizen Access and Disclosure of Expenditures for National Accountability Act, which passed 17-0. Both measures are currently marked as priority agenda items before the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council.